If you're in the market for a large American luxury SUV, your choice has pretty much always been the Escalade and the Navigator. But now Jeep is joining the luxury SUV segment with this new Grand Wagoneer. But they are still trying to maintain the off-road characteristics that they are known for. So how's it worked with this new Grand Wagoneer? Let's go for a drive and find out.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to rebel.
Under the hood of this behemoth of an SUV is a 6.4-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine. It produces 471 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque. That is quite a bit more power than what you get in the Navigator and the Escalade, but it's a little bit less torque than what you get from the twin-turbo V6 in the Navigator. However, while this thing weighs as much as an aircraft carrier, every time that you put your foot down, it just feels like it's shedding all of its weight, and it feels more like a speedboat. The engine has so much power and so much torque that it just really gets this big, almost 6,500 pound SUV going. However, that's only in a straight line. When the roads start to get twisty, it doesn't feel quite as athletic. The steering is nice and direct, and it actually has a little bit of heft to it. But out of all of these large luxury American SUVs, it's still the Cadillac Escalade that feels the best around twisting and winding roads. But the worst thing about the driving dynamics of this Grand Wagoneer is not the engine, it's not the handling, it's not even the transmission, which by the way is an 8-speed automatic, and the shifts are absolutely seamless. They are just really, really smooth. No, the worst thing about the driving dynamics is the fuel economy. Currently, I'm averaging, are you ready for this? 22 liters per 100 kilometers. 22 liters per 100 kilometers. That is awful. Granted, on highways it does get a little bit better, but every time that you're in a city, trying to get this much mass moving from a stop requires a lot of fuel. The only other vehicle that had even worse fuel economy than this that I've test driven was the Ram TRX. However, I can give that one a little bit of a break because it basically has a drag race engine under the hood. Officially, the 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer 4x4 is rated at 18.6 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 12.8 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. Now, like I said, on a highway it is easier to reach the official fuel economy number. But in the real world, when you're driving in a city, it's very difficult to get it below 20 liters per 100 kilometers, unless maybe you have the right foot of an angel and you are extremely gentle on that throttle pedal. Off the beaten path, if you decide to take your six-figure Jeep off-roading, it can keep up with other Jeep SUVs and trucks. Maybe not so much the more extreme versions of the Wrangler and Gladiator, but you can have a bit of fun with this Grand Wagoneer in mud, sand, snow, and even light rock crawling. This particular Series 3 Grand Wagoneer has a full-time 4x4 system with low range and a limited slip differential in the back. It has 3 off-road programs and 2 off-road ride heights for the air suspension. But driving quickly in a straight line or around corners is not the forte of this type of vehicle. What this thing is meant for is providing comfort. The 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer is a perfect daily commuter and family long-haul trip vehicle. The air suspension absorbs bumps, but it still lets you know that you've driven over it. It doesn't give you the floaty feeling that one would expect from a large SUV like this. Further aiding to the ride comfort are the seats. They are plush, but also very supportive. As well, the front seats are massaging with 5 different programs to choose from. Once you step inside the Grand Wagoneer, you are treated to a lot of really good quality materials. So of course there's soft leather on the seats as well as on the armrests on the center console. And also one thing that I really like that they did is they raised the carpet right here on the center console so that it uses far less ugly and hard black plastics. There is of course also leather on the door panels, on the dashboard, and there's even leather on the surround of the engine start stop button. In addition to the leather, there is of course also wood that genuinely feels like real wood right here on the center console, as well as the dashboard, a little bit on the steering wheel, and a little bit on the door panels. But there is also gloss black plastic which will get scratched and fingerprints are going to show, as well as dust. And as you probably know if you've watched my previous videos, you know that I really don't like the gloss black plastic. One thing though that you may not notice about the Grand Wagoneer initially, unless you take it for a test drive, is the amount of squeaks and rattles that there are in the cabin. So this upper portion of the backrest can actually move forward, but when you do that and you lean up against it, it squeaks. Same with the headrest, it squeaks every time you rest your head against it. When you're driving, the center console in the second row rattles, and there's something rattling as well right here in the trim of the B-pillar. Now, take what I say with a grain of salt, because these rattles and squeaks might be just this particular demo vehicle, and other Grand Wagoneers are not affected. I don't know that. But what I can say is that when I test drove the Jeep Grand Cherokee L a while back, that one didn't have any squeaks or rattles at all. And of course that one is significantly less expensive than this. So like I said, take what I say with a grain of salt and make sure you test drive the Grand Wagoneer before considering to buy one. Oh, and if you are interested in that Jeep Grand Cherokee L review, you can check it out up here. But getting back to the Grand Wagoneer, in terms of actual space up here in the front, I feel tiny in this thing. I'm 6'4" and I got loads of legroom, loads of headroom, and yeah, like I said, I feel tiny in here. So with that, let's check out the back seats. In the second row, you can get captain's chairs like how I have here, or a bench seat. If you get the captain's chairs, then you're going to get this center console, which I said earlier rattles a bit when you're driving. But it does have a couple of cup holders and quite a lot of storage in there, plus a tiny little bit of storage right here. There's also a screen right here for the climate controls, as well as the heating and ventilating for the second row seats. And of course, you also have a couple of touchscreens right in front of you for your entertainment. As for the space in the second row, again, 6'4" of me feels tiny in here because legroom, not an issue, headroom, not an issue. These seats do move forwards and backwards, and of course recline, but they are not powered. Which, in a way, it's actually better because then you don't have to wait for the seat to move forward when you want to get into the third row. And speaking of the third row, let's go sit back there. So getting into that third row is pretty easy. Little button right up here which tilts the seat forward. Again, no waiting around for the power seat to move it forward. And then you just pop the seat back, and there's quite a lot of space back here. I mean, this seat is not all the way back. It'll probably come to about here, but still, 6'4" of me has plenty of space in the back. Headroom is, yeah, well, my hair is brushing up against the headliner a tiny bit, but it's not that bad. You can also recline these seats a little bit if you want, and you have your own little sunroof up in the third row as well, so it doesn't feel very claustrophobic. I like it back here. It's not bad. In the trunk, the Grand Wagoneer sits between the regular sized Navigator and Escalade and their longer versions. So it has 776 liters of space behind the third row, which is more than both of its standard size competitors, but almost 400 liters, or about 14 cubic feet, less than the Escalade ESV, and about 225 liters, or about 8 cubic feet, less than the Navigator L. Fold the power third row seats and cargo capacity increases to 2007 liters. With the second row folded, The maximum cargo capacity is 2,667 liters. This being a luxury vehicle, it is priced like a luxury vehicle. The 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer starts at $101,495 Canadian, with this Series 3 model starting at $121,495 Canadian. A few options can be added, but not many on this top Series 3 trim level. For your money, the Grand Wagoneer does come with the usual luxury features that you would expect from a six-figure vehicle. So heated, ventilated, and massaging front seats, heated and ventilated second row seats, heated steering wheel, automatic climate control, panoramic sunroof, a really good lane centering system with adaptive cruise control, head-up display, and the list just goes on and on. But it does have a few unique gadgets and gizmos. So firstly is the night vision system, which will detect and highlight in yellow when there are pedestrians and even large animals. There's also a rear camera mirror, so all you have to do is tilt up on the mirror and it'll display a camera feed out the back, which is unobstructed by headrests or people. There's also the Macintosh sound system, which personally I don't really like all that much because it relies very heavily on the bass. In fact, it's so strong that I've actually had to lower the bass. It's just way too much. But the coolest feature is the screen right in front of the passenger seat. That one is primarily for the entertainment system, and you can play Amazon Fire TV or Netflix, or just pair your phone to it and play whatever's on your phone. But it also has a filter on it so that from my position in the driver's seat, I can't see it. Only the passenger can. And on the center console, you have two screens. The primary one is for your infotainment system. It is Uconnect 5, so it's an Android automotive-based infotainment system, and it's very customizable, and you can also customize it to your specific driver profile. It does allow for wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and it's really easy to navigate around. Underneath it, you have actually a screen for the climate controls as well as the massaging seats. And if you push this little button down here, its screen moves up and you find your wireless phone charging pad. So all in all, you're getting quite a lot of gadgets in the Grand Wagoneer for the six-figure price tag that you're paying. The exterior is a blend of current Jeep design language with hints of classic Wagoneer sprinkled throughout. The forward-facing grille, the headlights, and the taillights are all modern looking. The side and back windows with the chrome surrounds harken back to the Wagoneer of the 1970s. Thankfully, it doesn't have the wood trim on the outside of the car. Personally though, I'm not a fan of all the chrome, which is why I'd choose the obsidian trim with the black trim pieces. So what do I think in the end of the new Grand Wagoneer? I actually quite like it. I still think though that the Navigator and the Escalade are just a tiny bit better because they feel a little bit more refined, and of course they have been around longer than this Grand Wagoneer. Plus the Escalade has an optional diesel engine and it just feels a little bit more athletic to drive than this does. But as a first attempt from Jeep at making a large luxury SUV, I think they did a pretty good job. Oh, and if you are interested in the Escalade versus Navigator video that I made, you can check it out. You can check it out up here. But getting back to the Grand Wagoneer, the only real issues that Jeep needs to address is the interior squeaks and rattles. Now again, like I said, I'm not sure if it's just this particular vehicle that has these issues or if it's a bigger problem with more of them. However, the biggest thing that they really need to address is the atrocious fuel economy. Just absolutely horrible. But if you want to know more about this 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, I wrote a more detailed review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner up here. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely another SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.
My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna wanna be great.